Great. I think we're going to kick things off. It's 6:03, and I am conscious that it's a Friday. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining the PMI Adelaide chapter tonight, where we are going to be talking about mastering your PMP exam. We got some. It's going to be an insightful session. We've got a lovely presenter with us tonight who is going to share his experience, what has brought value to by gaining the PMP and other certifications, and then you will also hear from a couple of our other members. Um, just a bit of housekeeping. If I can please request you all to mute yourselves. And if you're not muting yourselves, could you please make sure that your phones are on silent so the presentation is not disrupted in any way. And once again, yes, thank you for joining us tonight. So we're going to kick off things with the acknowledgement of the land. We would like to acknowledge the Ghana people of whose land we meet on today. We also pay respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to the other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people if present here today. As some of you might be aware of the PMI cultural values, we have got 5 cultural values. It starts off with making it easy for everyone, aiming higher, be welcoming and approachable, embracing curiosity, and having that mindset of together we can achieve and we can work together. Joining the PMI and joining the Adelaide chapter comes with unlocks a lot of benefits. As you can see on the screen, members can gain access to a library free of courses, webinars, events, study guides. As a member, you can access opportunities to earn free PDUs to maintain your certifications, whether it's your PMP or any other certification. Free downloadable PMBOK guides, free access to tools and templates, and obviously, it's a global platform, so you get to connect with people all around the world. You can read more about the benefits of the membership on the PMI website and also on the Adelaide chapter website. We'd like to thank our sponsors. We have got a great pool of sponsors who support the PMI, and without their support, I don't think that events like these are possible. So thank you so much to our sponsors. I'm not going to go through all of our sponsors, but on the screen you can see that we've got a good number of sponsors. If you are interested in sponsoring our chapter, then please reach out to Peter Pavan or Udir Rajasekara. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first presenter, John Al-Khatib. John is a project and strategic management consultant, a university lecturer, and a trainer with over 20 years of experience. His experience spans over a wide variety of industries, including engineering, manufacturing, IT, and software development. His expertise lies in large-scale project management, industrial engineering, and digital transformation, having led complex initiatives before establishing his own firm in 2014. And since then, John has continued his commitment to project management, engaging in diverse ventures both locally and internationally. With over a decade of experience in training and universities, delivering programs across a wide range of management and technical disciplines. John has made significant contributions to developing best practices in project management, including reviewing and evaluating the PMBOK and certification programs. He has also led and guided 2 organizations to achieve authorized training partners statuses with PMI. John holds a master's in strategic planning, a master's in applied project management, and 5 professional credentials from PMI. I think, John, you're like leading here in getting accreditations from the PMI. John's qualifications reflect his deep expertise in the field. He's an active member of several prestigious professional bodies, including the Australian Institute of Company Directors, the International Centre of Complex Project Management, Institute of Company Directors, and the International Centre of Complex Project Management, the Australian Institute of Project Management, the Complex Systems Society, the System Dynamics Society, the American Society for Engineering Management, and the PMI, among others. John is currently pursuing a PhD at the University of Adelaide, where his research focuses on complex project management and governance frameworks, exploring the application of systems thinking, complex systems governance, and the management of cybernetics in complex projects. John, I am going to hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Amina, and welcome everyone. Look, I'm very excited to see the number of people attending this event. So welcome again. I also like to acknowledge the land that I stand on today is the land of the Ghana people, and I pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Special thanks to the PMI chapter and for the invitation to speak to the PMI cohort and the project management cohort in general. Thanks for the nice welcoming and the long bio. I look forward to a conversation today, or a question, or any query, or thoughts about PMI or the mastering your PMP. Probably you already know now. I've developed that addiction for PMI credentials very early in my career, and I look forward to share this experience with you today or further after the session. So you can see my contact details are listed on the slide. So you can reach me on, if you are on LinkedIn, please drop me a connection request. Or if you have any question after the session, if you want to follow up or you need any assistance with PMP, with PMI exam or preparation, my contact details are available. More than happy to share, as I said, after the session or during the session. If you have any question while I'm progressing through the slides today, please just unmute yourself and ask me that question. Let's have it casually engaging as much as we can. Thank you so much, Amina, and thanks, Kylie and Baiba as well. So as I said, my addiction for PMI credentials, as someone who holds 5 credentials from PMI, my journey started in 2011. So very early in my career, like probably around 6 or 5 years in that project management space. I started looking for options. I started to look for credentials. I started to looking for accreditation. So I wanna document. I want to recognize my experience. I want people to recognize my experience. I want people to be able to tell that this person has a certain level of experience and comprehension about project management. And back in the time in 2009, 2011, PMP was and still one of the most significant global credentials in the project management space. I started, my first credential was PMP. Moving on, the same year, I've obtained the RMP, the Risk Management Professional, and then followed by the Scheduling Professional, Agile Practitioner, and recently the Professional and Business Analyst. I still remember back in the time, 2011, I used to travel to another country to apply for the exam. Today, you can just apply, you can just take the exam from the convenience of your house. You just put your computer, sign in, you can do it, you can turn on your camera and just take the exam very comfortably. I did all my qualifications. I had to travel to a different state or different country for all of these qualifications, the 4 of them. Not the last one, Professional Business Analyst in 2023, it was online. So things now are much more easier than it used to be to get your credential and get your experience documented and your accreditation. So please don't spare a chance to get certified. That's probably the most important message that I want to transfer today. Is get excited about your experience. Get excited about being accredited. It doesn't matter if you have 2 years or 5 years or 10 years of experience in project management. Your experience is your experience, but accreditation sends a clear signal to the listener, to the observer, to the other person on the other side of the table that you are a person dedicated to best practices in project management. That's what certifications do. This is a commitment from you as an individual towards best practices or better practices in project management and a belonging to certain community and a membership of a global organization. So get excited about it. Start your journey as early as you can, and good luck to everyone. Next slide, please, Amina. Thank you. So today I want to talk about how you can master your PMI exam. among many other things. And as Amina mentioned, I've been in that space for a very long time. I've helped 2 organizations to become an accredited authorized training partner for PMI. Probably helped hundreds of people to be PMP certified across the globe, from the US until to Australia, crossing the Middle East, crossing Europe. So I had over the last 15 years, I had a good exposure to different type of learning styles, mentalities, mechanisms, resources, etc. And I want to summarize all this experience today, including my own experience, by the way, because I'm a person who love to take exams. I look at the exams and certification as an opportunity for excellence, to achieve excellence. So I want to talk today about, I broke down my thoughts into 5 main domains. Number 1 is the structure of the exam, which I think it's critical for you to understand, like your name. You should know this by heart anytime, any place, at any moment before you apply for the exam. Any exam, not only the PMP. Then I'm going to move on to study strategy. And again, this is my preferred method of studying for the PMP or PMI exam, along with the resources. Then exam technique, and I think that's the most important part of today's presentation. I nailed my PMP in 90 minutes, which is probably a record time. And not because I'm a super achiever or a super Mario in PMP. It's because I had the right techniques. I applied the right techniques in my exam. And then finally, I want to talk about the exam day. And obviously, there is a lot of variations here. It depends on your learning style. It depends on your preference. It depends on what kind of person you are. So please tailor and adjust everything that I'm going to say today to your own needs and your own circumstances. So let's start with the structure, please. When you look at the structure for any exam, so this is basically a screenshot taken from the PMP exam. That's extremely important. This is probably a key element in your success, because understanding the structure of the exam, including the content outlines, which always get updated by PMI. So don't rely on an old version of the content outlines. Always make sure that you keep an eye on the content outlines. Exam format, what sort of questions you're going to face? Are you going to face a numerical question? Are you going to face a number, situational, true or wrong? What sort of questions? Knowledge-based, formula, process-based. You need to understand the type of the questions that you will face in the PMP or the PMI exam. Understand the break policy. Ask questions. Send PMI an email to clarify. Don't be shy about it. Some of these things are not straightforward to understand, and you might get confused about some of the details about, can I take a break? How long will it impact my time? Read the policies about the exam at least once. I know this is a boring exercise, but trust me on this, it will help you in designing your exam techniques, and can save you a lot of time and effort and money, by the way, because it's not cheap getting the exam. So when you look, for example, this is just an example to give you an idea how important to understand the contents or the structure of the exam. When you compare the CAPM, the Certified Associate in Project Management certification, with the PMP, and those two are one of the oldest certifications from PMI, one of the first, by the way. So PMP was the first, CAPM was the second. When you compare between them, you can see that the amount of time you have per question is roughly around 70 seconds. That's not a long time, by the way. 70 seconds is just a little bit more than 1 minute. So you're basically, based on your understanding, after understanding how many questions you have and how much time allowed, you are able to set a target for any question. So when you look at the CAPM, for example, and you see that the allowance per question is only 72 seconds, that means you need to answer that question with a maximum of 60 seconds. You need to work on the clock, on a timer, because the 12 seconds, the spare 12 seconds should act as your buffer, as your contingency, as your risk management, as your risk response. which means you can design your exam techniques much better. Now, without a proper understanding of this, you can't design your exam strategy. The other thing is the total exam time or the exam duration. So when you look at the PMP exam, it's 230 minutes for 180 question. When you look at the CAPM, it's 180 for 150. That will impact your preference for breaks. I don't like to take breaks. I just move on from first question to final question and just finish the exam. But some people found it extremely useful when PMI added the break policy, because back in the time PMI didn't have a break policy. It's a new thing. It's one of the new additions to the PMP structure. So if you think that 230 minutes are not enough, then you need to use the break policy that I mentioned at the top. Now, the other important thing is the domains. I think this is very significant in understanding the structure. And also it will impact your study strategy and impact your exam techniques. When you look at domains, the domains of the PMP, the new version of the PMP, are much more simpler than the previous one. So you have 3 domains. For PMP, you have people, process, and business environment. So 8% for business environment, 50% of process, and 42% for people. You need to be able to explain clearly to yourself, what does people mean? What does process mean? What does business environment mean? What is the boundaries? What are the boundaries of people? And that can only happen, you can only achieve this if you have if you read the content outline clearly, step by step, line by line. Because the content outline will divide each of these domains into a task and then enablers. So you have a domain, you have certain tasks listed under that domain. So things we do to manage people, things we do to manage processes, and then underneath enablers, which are the factors that will enable you as a project manager to achieve outcomes or value out of this process. Because applying the process by itself, it sometimes is not enough. So this is an example about managing conflict. When you talk about managing conflict, the enablers for managing conflict is to interpret the source and the state of the conflict. Let's say if you face an exam question about managing conflict. If the first thing you need to understand is where is that, or identify where is that conflict, what is the life cycle, what stage is that conflict is at. Once you identify that stage, you can design a management techniques that are suitable for it. That's what we call it enablers. So please make sure you understand the exam structure by reading the exam content clearly once and twice and 3 times and 4 times if it requires. I can probably say that 99.9% of people who didn't read the exam content outlines clearly or didn't develop an understanding about the outlines from other sources failed the PMP exam. And that's something, that's an experience you don't wanna go through. Feel free to ask any question at any time, because each one of those pillars or these domains are separated, and I'm gonna connect them. So feel free to ask questions anytime or pop it in the chat for us. Thank you, Amina. Next slide, please. The next point that I want to talk about is the study strategy and the study resources. And I think your study strategy is your study strategy. It's yours. It's designed basically to suit your learning style, your learning needs. Where are you now in your professional career? How easy can you learn? How fast can you learn? So there are so many personal circumstances and factors that impact your study strategy. But from my perspective, after 15 years in this beautiful discipline of training people, whether a university or RTOs or PMP or others, I think you need to treat this as a project. There is no other way from my perspective. This is one of the most significant projects that you're going to run in your professional career. Set a timeline, set a scope, set a budget, set a resources, set a clear schedule, and act as if it's a project. Report to yourself. Go back to yourself and report to yourself. You don't need motivation. This is something I'm a strong believer in discipline, not motivation. Motivation goes up and down, changes with time. Try to be disciplined. 30 minutes per day for a year is more effective than 10 hours per week for 5 weeks. I got all of my professional credentials by studying 2 hours early in the morning before anyone wakes up in the house. So I got my PMP when I was married. I had family, and all of them the same. I got my first master, the same thing. I got my second master, the same thing. It's about discipline. It's about waking up early. From my perspective, for me, probably for you is waking up late. I don't know. Waking up early, dedicating an hour or 2 or 30 minutes or how much time you can spare, and have discipline about it. With time, you will see amazing results. Now, the other important thing is about your philosophy and the way you wanna approach the domain or the knowledge. The term is domain focused to holistic mindset. What does that mean? You probably if you studied for another exam other than PMI, you probably already applied this. But let me explain it from a PMI perspective. When you start studying for the PMP exam, you need to study based on the domains: people, process, business, environment. So you need to keep your mindset, keep your thinking trapped in a certain domain, because you need to start building knowledge and experience and skills and competencies in that specific domain. And then while you progress through your study, you're automatically going to connect those concepts together. And that's what we would refer to as holistic mindset. So my advice to you at the beginning of the preparation or in the middle of your journey, if you face the question or you face the scenario that needs a holistic mindset, which means thinking about projects as a whole rather than thinking about certain domains like managing conflict, that's fine. Don't get stressed about it. It will come with time. So start from the domain, move on, keep that holistic mindset in as a target, and it will happen, but keep an eye on it. 80-20 Pareto principle. Try to achieve 80% by doing 20%. Always focus on value. Always focus on the most significant parts of the PMP certification or exam or domain. So if you go back to the domain, you can see that people is 50, processes is 42, and then you have business environment 8%. So let's say you have limited understanding about the business environment. You just started your project management career. Business acumen is something you haven't actually nailed yet. You haven't developed a lot of competencies in it. That's fine, because it's 8% of the course of the whole mark. So don't panic. Focus on the things, on the 20% that's going to give you 80% of the results or the progress, and that's throughout your study journey. Have a positive mindset. Avoid being optimistic. Now, this is something you can apply even in project management, by the way. Optimism is not recommended in project management, by the way. You need to have a positive mindset, and there is a difference between being positive and being optimistic. Being optimistic means that you're looking at the bright side of things all the time, and that's not always practical from a project management perspective. Being positive, have a positive mindset. It's like having a can-do approach. So my advice to you is to be positive. Not because you have 10 years of experience in project management, you're gonna finish the exam in 4 hours. Now, that's being optimistic. You need to study. There are a lot of cases when people came to the exam with 10 plus years of experience in project management and they failed. It's about the mindset. It's about PMI mindset. It's not about your experience. I'm going to touch base on that in the study resources. And then my acronym, which is the triple R. At any point of time, if you fail behind your schedule, if for some reason life happened, if your study got disrupted by certain circumstances, that's fine. Reset, reflect, refine. Reset the clock, start again. This is a new day. This is a new moment in your study journey. Reflect on what happened in the past, learn from it, and refine your plan moving forward. You probably want to, let's say your initial plan was a little bit optimistic. refine that plan, put some contingency, put some buffer, put some time for yourself. That's fine. And you can do it unlimited time. Triple R. That's my acronym for bouncing back if you fall behind. When it comes to study resources, and I know I have a limited time today to cover very important topics, but again, as I said, I'm more than happy to have a chat with any of you at any point of time, even those who attending the recording, just to explain further about any of these points. When it comes to study resources, remember something very important, and this is a game changer in your exam. You need to have a PMI mindset when you're answering the question, not your own or your workplace mindset. That's a key success factor in the exam. You need to think how PMI thinks, not how your work experience do. So when you face a question in the exam you don't know an answer to, that's fine. It will happen. So don't go back to your experience. You don't have necessarily to go back to your experience. You can analyze your PMI mindset, the one that you developed while you're studying, and then you can find the answer for it. So always try to understand how PMI think about project management. What is the process? What is the mindset? It's proactive. It's about avoidance. It's not about being reactive. It's all about being open for feedback, open communicator. Understand the key pillars of PMI mindset in managing projects. Use official PMI resources, including the PMBOK guide. So the PMBOK guide is going to be your friend for a long time until you get your PMP or your other certification. The PMBOK guide is meant to be a guide, not meant to be a study guide. Just this is a misconception about the PMBOK. Be careful to mix between a study guide and a guide. A guide is a framework, so the PMBOK is not meant to give you a lot of details. It's just meant to give you a guidance about project management. There's a lot of exam simulators and practice tests. At least before the exam, you should do 4 mock-up tests and score a high percentage. Now, I can't refer certain software or certain brand. There's a lot of them outside. What I can say is one of the things you can rely on is PMI ATP, or the Authorized Training Partners Network, which is a network of training providers that can provide you with the quality training in project management, which is not enough yet without the exam simulator and without the practicing the test. So make sure you consult people about your study resources. Don't just go for this any study resource that you find online. You need to have a quality study resource, because that will make your life much more easier when it comes to the exam. Next slide, please. Thank you. And now to my favorite part, which is the exam techniques. Again, tailor it to your needs, to your circumstances, experience, how many exams have you taken before, but please spend some time to have a strategy. Not having a strategy or a technique for the exam is going to ruin your experience in your PMP exam. You need to step in the exam room or your office if you're doing it online. You need to have a clear strategy or technique about the exam. So I'm just going to put some dot points here, and then I'll give you some one example from one of my exams. Number one, time management and meet your target pace. While you're practicing before the exam, you need to develop a clear understanding about how much time it will take you to finish the 180 or 200 or 230 exam. That's what we call your pace. You should have a target pace, which means I need to finish the first 20 questions within a certain amount of time. You need to meet that target, and be careful. Just be conscious that your speed, your pace is gonna improve while you progress through the exam. So give yourself the first 15 minutes is not a good indicator about your actual pace, but you need to have a good time management application in the exam. Read carefully and be careful about the keywords, most likely and less, except, first step, all these things. These are very tricky words planted in the exams, in the P exam. just to increase the level of complexity for the participants. In relation to the formula-based questions, my advice to you is leave them till the end, because they all need one mindset. You need to be in a box. You need to think numerically and with numbers. 90% so the context is basically calculations. So if I was applying for the PMB exam or any exam, all formula-based questions, I'll either address them at the beginning, I'll start with them, meeting my target pace, or I will leave them to the end. And I'll come back to them. It depends on how good you are with the numbers. Flag and move. If you don't get stuck in one question, it's 1 out of 180, and it might, by the way, be one of those questions that don't count, because PMI have a certain amount of questions as a trial, as a test in your exam. So if you spend 15 minutes reading a question and panicking about it, you're probably spending your time on the wrong thing. So flag and move to the next questions, and you will come back, you will get a chance. As long as you're meeting your target pace, you will get a good chance to go back and review those flagged items. Take a break, it's your right, it's in the policy. It's actually good for some people, especially if you don't have previous experience in sitting 4 hours exam. But all depends on how you progress through the exam. The research says that you need to trust your first instinct. So which means don't question yourself too much. It's good to think about your questions again, but usually your first choice is the best, is the right one. And one of my favorite things to think about is that you're bigger than your brain. Don't panic. Your brain is an organ of your system. If you feel anxious for any reason during the exam, if you feel that you're not gonna pass or you're gonna fail, just control it. Take a deep breath, reset, reflect, refine, even in the middle of the exam. Don't panic. Panicking, stressing out is not going to get you any good results in the exam. Resetting, reflecting, and refining your plan or the way forward will get you outside the exam. And remember something, PMI, roughly the passing score is around 55%. That's what the community would say. There are no clear guidelines about the passing score. So you are bigger than your brain. Don't let your brain control the whole experience in your PMP exam. And on the exam day, and I think one of the best things that I've learned throughout my career from one exam room to another exam room is be yourself, first of all, and get excited. Go there, wear your best dress. I will wear my best dress, my best shirt. I'll shave, I'll take a shower. I'll be in a good mood, and I will go there. I'll have a nice cup of coffee before the exam, and I'm just gonna have that positive mindset about my experience. From my perspective, those are the key things that you need to be aware of before you step into the exam room or before you start your PMP exam. You might have something else. Someone else might add new things. Your learning strategy might be different. That's completely fine. But from my perspective, over the last 15 years, I think those dot points were extremely, extremely useful and effective for all the participants that I've helped. Now, I think that's the end of the notes for me. Can we, over to Kylie, but I just want to touch base quickly and see if anyone has any question, or if we had any question in the chat. More than happy to answer it now, or leave it till the end, or leave it to after the session if you like. Completely up to you guys. Irena, do you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I just want to ask regarding the formula-based questions.
Yeah.
Is it every year we will have the same amount of this kind of questions, or it varies from year to year?
It varies. There is no clear guidelines about the formula, but you need to be on top of all of them. You need to have a clear understanding about earned value management. I'll give you an example. I can't remember exactly which exam was it. It's probably RMP or SP. I think it was SP, scheduling professional. When I applied for my SP, when SP is a scheduling professional certification. You can imagine if you're working in scheduling, it's all about earned value management, schedule development, schedule variation, schedule rebaselining. There's a lot of calculation in SP. I still remember I was shocked because I didn't have a lot of formulas type questions in my exam. I was well prepared to answer a lot of formulas based, and I didn't get a lot of them. I got a lot of situational questions. So there is no clear guidelines about the formulas. I think the formulas are very good opportunity for you to pass the exam and answer them correctly because it's a straightforward type of questions.
Yep.
Thanks, Irena.
Thanks.
Cheers.
We've got a question in the chat.
Yeah. Let's open that.
From Kasha. Can't use my mic at the moment, but what is the timeline a person working full-time should allow for preparation? That's a good question.
This is very important question. Look, I can only share my personal experience, and then again, for you, it's you need to tailor this based on your circumstances. I've always worked full-time, sometimes double full-time. That didn't stop me from applying for my certifications or my masters or my other qualifications. I think minimum an hour per day should be allocated for your exam preparation. Now, the whole experience, the whole preparation, it's much more complicated than a simple formula, x times y. You can probably do a test. If I was you, what I will do is I will dedicate an hour per day, 5 days a week or 6 days a week or 7 days a week. It depends on you. I'll choose a domain within the PMP preparation. I'll choose a certain domain, certain task, and I'll see how much impact did that 1 hour created on my study load or my understanding or comprehension of the exam. I'll do a test. If it didn't work, then I will increase to 2 hours or 3 hours because you need some sort of intensity in your study so you can develop that holistic mindset. If you remember that holistic mindset, to reach that holistic mindset in your an understanding of PMI's approach, you need time, and your brain needs to be engaged for a certain amount of time thinking about the same thing. Now, while you're progressing through your study, you're probably going to reduce that time because you've already developed some sort of competencies. So that will be relaxed a little bit. Hopefully that can help.
Kasha's just replying now, just waiting
yeah,
for the question.
Sure.
But if anyone else has another question, please jump in. If I started with an hour a day, would I be looking at 3 or 6 months?
Probably 6 months. Depends on. I'll just kind of take the safe approach here. It depends on how long you've been in project management. What's your background? How much your organization or your experience is aligned with PMI. I'll give you an example. So I come from a early project management experience where I had PMO, I had all my project management methodology at workplace aligned with PMP, with the PMBOK. The PMO manager, my manager, was a PMP instructor, and he was acquired from the US just to design that PMO based on the PMBOK and PMI mindset. So for me, it was no brainer. I just needed some alignment in my thinking to be able to understand that PMI. But for someone else who does or follows his workplace or their workplace follow different methodology or no methodology because it happens, that might take more time. The best way to do it is to do a test and see how much value or how much impact that a certain amount of time has created on your study load and competency. You're welcome. Anytime. Again, for anyone, if you want to reach out outside the session, more than happy to answer any question. Any other question before I hand over to Kylie?
I had a question, John.
Yeah, sure. Amina, please.
What keeps you going? You did mention motivation. Motivation is, I mean, you did say you compared motivation with discipline, but what keeps you going? What's the drive? What drives you to, to go on to your next certification?
Look, you need multiple factors. So the first one, obviously, is the business opportunity. So I'm an entrepreneur by nature. So I've been working in my own business for more than 12 years now. For me, number one, there is a visibility to getting your certification. Every time and benefits. Every time you get a certification, you get value to your career. Whether you open new horizons, you open new courses, you get new opportunities, you get higher paid, you negotiate better, and your confidence will increase. So one of the things that I really rely on in building my resume after 20 years is my certification and education. So that's a very strong aspect of my resume. So there is a business opportunity. I'm not doing it just for fun. It's a very logical thing. Now the other thing is my passion for learning. You need to have a passion for learning. We all need to have a passion for learning. Learning doesn't stop. You shouldn't stop learning. And one of the ways you need to find your way to learn. What's the way that suits you? It suits your style. For me, I hate opening a book and read about something. I need to follow some sort of credential or accreditation program. I need structured approach for learning, and that's why certification came very handy to me. The other thing is the domain itself. I'm a project management addict. I love project management. I barely did anything in my life outside project management, and I love this discipline, and I will love it for the rest of my life. I want to die on a schedule. You know what I mean? I love this domain. I think project management can change the world to be a better place for everyone. So, and every time there is a new thing in project management, I was very interested in understanding what are the best practices, what are the things that's going to create value from that domain. And I give you an example. One of the things that I've done is this. At early stage is to start when I started my first master was in strategic planning. So my first master was in strategic planning, which is far away from project management. My goal at that time was to understand projects from a strategic perspective. So learning is a passion. If you need to find your passion for learning, because learning doesn't stop and it will take you places. Whether in your workplace, whether with your friends, whether with your social network, it will take you for places. And as I started at the beginning, it's about that announcement that you make. You are someone who belongs to the best practices or global practices. You are a global project manager. That's basically some of the factors. And that's what keeps me going, I think. And an ability to learn, I would say, and a passion to learn. Thanks, Amina. Vishwa, I think. Please unmute yourself, Vishwa. Okay, let's do it casually. No need to put your hand up. Thanks. Can anyone hear Vishwa? Sorry, I can't hear you.
No.
Yes, we can hear you now. I'll give you some time, but back to that point, Amina, about motivation and discipline. I always emphasize the value of discipline rather than being motivated. Always work on your discipline. Motivation will come and go. Motivation will come eventually. You will be motivated once you have your discipline, by the way. Your discipline will motivate you to achieve great things. So always focus on your discipline.
Don't think we can hear Vishwa at the moment, but I've said to just to post it in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right. Any other question before I hand over to Kylie? Kishwa, feel free to post it in the chat and we'll get back to it at any point. I don't think we have other questions. So look, it's been really a pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me the space and time to express this passion, and hopefully those dot points were useful to you. Again, reach out if you have any question. Let me know if I can be of any help. Let the beautiful guys at PMI Chapter if you have any question about it. Remember something: good things happen when you join PMI. That's something we all need to remember. Over to you, Kylie, and thanks again.